Good morning and welcome to Tower Gardening Made Easy. And this is episode 9 of Let's Talk About It. Because as gardeners, as I always say, we have a lot to talk about. And this morning, I want to get right into this. I discovered something very interesting. I kind of shuffled my agenda today because I want to address this first thing right off the bat. That I found this comment and I want to completely debunk it because I think that might make a lot of people nervous about tower gardening and the safety of our towers. So you're going to want to stay tuned for this. All right, guys, I want to debunk this right away. So, this comment came in about an individual couple, and they have a tower. It looks like maybe it's in their kitchen or side area, but they're concerned about the lights and the safety of their eyes. This is a really good question. Like, this is about our health, and the whole reason why we're trying to be tower gardeners is to provide food for our family that's safe. And we don't want our towers not to be safe. So before everybody starts running to Dr. Google, let me just debunk this right now. The lights that are on at least the tower gardens, okay, like from towergardening.com, they are white LED lights that look like an octopus that drapes over the tower. They are white, they are not colored. And in the instructions, when you put them on the tower, it just says, don't look directly at them. Okay, so you don't want to do that because that definitely could, strain your eye a little bit. However, there are different types of grow lights. So I'm going to just lightly touch on this because we could probably talk a whole hour about it. And I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to give you what I found in terms of my research, and so that you have a clear understanding, because a message like this could really just, people go, oh no, my eyes are too important. And absolutely, they are everything. So these people have the tower in their home. And my first suggestion is, if it's too much light and you can't put it on its own, like mine are in the basement, buy a divider. Or find some, divider like on Amazon or Savers, or maybe even Target has a cheap one. Or if you can't afford that, then maybe like, I don't know, like a sheet or something, or just try to shelter it. Open a door so that it blocks it a little bit so that it's not bothering you. But the husband went to Dr. Google and he's thinking that, oh, it causes cataracts and this and that. The white lights do not cause cataracts. They just don't want you staring at them directly and straining your eyes. Um, I'm going to say this, that when I first started this back in December, I remember saying to my husband, because here in the Northeast, it was winter, it was cold, and it was dark. And I don't have seasonal disorder, but I mean, I guess to some degree we all had it when there's not enough light, and it creates kind of a void in our circadian rhythm. So that you find, like, I'm just tired, I want to go to bed, like after dinner at 6, you're craving more carbs. That's very normal in those dark months, because you're craving the warmth. Um, and these towers, what they do is, being around them, you're not staring at the light directly, but you're getting some thing from them, and it's curing that, so that you feel like you've got a little more energy. You don't want to go to bed at 6 o'clock. And you're not craving that many carbs too. Now, on the flip side, there are different colors of grow lights. Again, tower gardens are white, safe. In these big farms, these, underground or building vertical farms, they use a combination of lights of white and colors. The colors are like the pink, violets, purples, and reds. And all of those different lights have different reactions to the plants. Now, I'm not going to get into that because that's just, again, a whole hour. But as you can see in this picture here in the middle, this person has a hazmat suit, so they're probably using pesticides, but they also have glasses and a mask. So what does that tell you? That if you're going to be in around these colored lights, that you probably need to protect your whole eyes, like goggles. So don't be afraid of our towers, but if they're causing too much light because it's in your living space, then divide it. and don't worry about it. But if you're in an environment, now I will say this, I have my spider lights, they're in my nursery. Those are not white, those are kind of like a red, but I'm not there enough that they're kind of over to the side. And when I do my plantings, whether it's online or offline, um, I'm just not there and I'm not looking directly at them. And if they're in my way, I kind of push them. So it's not enough to create concern that I'm going to come down with cataracts. But you can go and do your own research. But just know that working with a tower garden on the inside gardening with these lights, you're totally fine. You can actually contact the company and speak to them directly if you want. But from what I can see, these white lights are LED, completely safe, and they don't draw a lot of energy as well. They're good lights, so don't worry about it. So I wanted to hit this off at the path because this is out there, and there was a lot of people chiming in. And I'm not a doctor, but I'm from what I can see and my own research, I'm not concerned at all. But if I had the colored lights around me, I might be concerned. So I want to go on to happier thoughts. And I saved this video for you guys from my little excursion from last week. Okay, so before we get into the video, I want to just talk about Brimfield. So this show is amazing. It's about creating a space, in your grow room or beyond, whether it's a porch, a little, patio area, your backyard. This antique market or whatever you want to call it, massive yard sale, it's fields of stuff. And you can find things that are really inexpensive, but if you don't have access to Brimfield, but what you do have access to are yard sales, Savers, Walmart, Target, they all have super great stuff that are relatively inexpensive to make your room special. And I want to go to the next clip. Okay, so you want to build an oasis, whether it's adding an old pot or a little, old wine box that you can put something in that you build out. Build that area and really make it special so that you can sit outside with a cup of coffee or whatever and just have that Zen moment, even for 10 minutes away from the kids, away from the job, away from your desk or whatever's going on, and lower your cortisol and just bring everything down to the baseline of feeling really, really good. And knowing that that is your 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is that you allow yourself each day. You built it. It's gorgeous. And every day that you go out there, it's blooming and doing something special. So I'm going to get into the video and we'll speed through a little bit of it, but it really is a magical place to buy some fun things to create your oasis. And I've been going there for a long time. And it's funny, I watched this video this morning just to kind of do my dry, what I call my dry run before I go live. And I picked up on somebody saying that they have been going to the show for over 20 years. It's really magical. So let's go ahead and get into this.
Welcome to Tower Gardening Made Easy. Well, obviously I'm not in my grow room, I'm in my car. And I'm sitting in this field at Brimfield, Massachusetts. Now, let me give you a little history. So 3 times a year, this area used to be big farmland. And what happens here is it's one of the largest antique kind of like yard sales you'll ever see. So there are massive fields with tents and just lots of stuff. So today I'm going to take you on an adventure because I'm looking for some stuff for the grow.
I apologize for the nasally. The pollen there was so thick that it was just my eyes were burning and my throat was like it was really bad. I think it was like pine pollen. So I apologize for that.
Just fun things and also some stuff from my backyard. So come along with me because this is going to be quite the experience. So we're going to enter a field called the New Englands. Look at this.
So I'm going to stop right here. So if you see me in my grow room sitting on a little teeny tiny stool, adjusting the pH in my nutrients, I did not buy that on Friday. I bought that years ago, but that stool has sat in the kitchen in Wayland for 15 years that I've used as a step stool, and now I use it in my grow room downstairs. I didn't buy it from this particular vendor, but these little stools are like the bomb.
They costume were like, you know, they have these cutouts. Right, right. It could be that, like the red and the blue. Maybe that's the fertility house. I think I'm good in that department. Beautiful old vintage furs.
So a lot of these vendors, there's all kinds of stuff that you're going to find, but this particular woman had a whole rack of like vintage furs. Now, again, I know the animals, and I'm an animal lover too, but it's not new. It's really old. So if you're in and you sew or know someone who sews, you can take these vintage furs and turn them into like edging for pillows, or if it's a full fur, I've even done this. You can take it apart and make it into a throw, like a throw, and it's real fur. It's really old, and you just back it with fabric, and it's beautiful, and they're not expensive.
Your booth, your booth is beautiful. It's really pretty. Thank you.
If you're into making jewelry, there are beads everywhere. In every field, I found vendors that have these handmade, unique beads that they collect from all over.
Lots of like jewelry, beads. Okay, so here's some shelves. This is kind of what I'm looking for. I have these shelves in the house that I need to put some stuff on it. And little things like this would be cute. Little garden chair.
So metal garden chairs are really, really expensive. But here, not too bad. You could take it and paint it a different color for like pennies on the dollar versus having to buy it new.
So these people travel from all over the country, and they come here for the show. This is the main show. This is the biggest show. Old quilts,
Mom, if you're listening,
some cute little garden stuff. Oh my god, that stuff is so cute right there. Look at that. I love your booth. So pretty. Got some good grooving music going. Some relics. Or shells. Let's go take a look.
those shells were a little expensive.
Little garden art there. Wow. You just find it super cool buckets and stuff.
I mean, these metal buckets, if you were to buy them new, they're very expensive. But here they were, $15, a wooden crate you could build out, put some shells or something, like stack it. Just a really interesting place. I will say this too. This show goes from Tuesday to Sunday, and people come from all over, and they fill up the hotels all over this teeny tiny town. And I'm talking, this is a Western Mass town that when this show's not going on, it is crickets. It is really, really quiet, and they fill up all of these little tiny, hotels to go there because the fields around the street that goes for a few miles, they open up on different days, so people will stay and they'll go to one field one day. That's how big they are. And they'll go to another field the next day. And then by Fridays, when I went, they're pretty much all open and they're free.
It would make amazing container gardens. This is one of my favorite things here at Brimfield, this little area right here. We have all of these cement little statues and water fountains, as you can see, and it's just beautiful. Like the things that I could do. And look at that. I just love water features.
When you think about it, our tower gardens are a water feature, and that water trickling down, again, remember I talked about building your oasis. There's something about it that's very tranquil that just brings down that stress. So, I'd love to do something like this in my backyard eventually, but right now we just have a big hole we're trying to put a pool in.
Listening to water is just so peaceful. Amazing. That and gargoyle. Yes. Hello, boys.
I love gargoyles.
They're so cute. Look at them. Oh, I need this. So this is in a field. So somebody had to come set this up. Look at these urns. Purple greenery up top. Matching pair. Mm. I think this is one of the reasons why I love Newport so much because there's a lot of this around the mansions. And the one.
So I'm going to pause right here. So I'm going to elaborate on that. And I'm going to be going to some of the mansions. I think it's the Elms. They have this outside area with these beautiful trees. And they have all of these different statues that were handmade, like in the turn of the century at 1900s. Like the Vanderbilts, the Breakers, all of these big mansions. And in their backyards, it's talk about Oasis. I'm going to be going to the garden show in a few weeks, and I'm going to try to get my camera in there and get as much footage as I possibly can to show you guys. But it's just beautiful. Like if you ever have a chance to come to Newport, Rhode Island, you have to go through the mansions. You've got to go in the backyards because it's just the Historical Society takes care of it now, and they do an amazing job with this.
You can get into, and the ones that you can't. But this is, they find the stuff at places like this through vendors. I can never get a good shot of this. Oh, look at the dog. Let's go inside.
Look at those urns, how big they are.
It's a mini
I
one.
loved that one.
I think I could get that in my car. They're not
Maybe
inexpensive.
not.
That's for sure.
It didn't come home.
Oh, look at the mushrooms. Mushroom.
Build your oasis.
So pretty.
See, and I just picked that up this morning. They've been coming for over 20 years. I mean, I don't know that I've maybe 20 years on and off. Like I didn't go during the pandemic, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I've been going for many years, and I usually go to the May show because that's usually the best. The one in July is just too hot because it's just open fields with no trees. And the one in September, it's okay. But May is my favorite. Isn't that gorgeous? Like just the way that they have that set up between the hydrangeas and the little art behind it. It's just, oh, scrumptious. All right, I'm going to speed this up because I go outside and they're very loud. I just want to show you these two little urns that I found on the back. All right, right there. Right there. Aren't those gorgeous?
Matching pair of urns right there.
Oh, they're so pretty.
Look at the gates.
And they're all iron. Okay, I'm going to stop it because I walked past it and I could not delete that from the video. But I did not post this one yet. I did a live and I did post that, but this was kind of a clipped little segment that I put together for you guys. And, for watching the podcast and tuning in on Wednesdays, I'm going to be doing special things like this and really just giving you guys the first chance to see this before I post it in, like another video or so. But let's go ahead and move on to our like some usual stuff. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right. So a comment came in and they're dealing with what they thought were ticks. They're not ticks. That's not what they are. It's like a beetle. And they were looking to use this need oil. And what I'm going to say is it's just a beetle. But when you're outside and you're gardening outside, you need to plant companion plants. And those would be marigolds. They would be, don't put mint in the tower, but put it on the bottom. Scented geraniums would be another one. Sage, things of that nature. We did a podcast a few weeks ago on companion plants. So go back and look those up. So there's a whole list of them, and you really need to put them in there so that you don't have the beetles, because the beetles, as you can see in that lower right hand corner, they're having a good time. They're looking for snacks. And if you have aphids, I'm going to just say right now that you can fend off these beetles with the companions. But if you have aphids, you're better off just taking the tower apart, cleaning it, sterilizing it, starting again, and then putting companion plants in it as you're growing new seedlings and letting everything grow together and mature together, and you should be okay. But if you don't do that, you're just going to be continuously battling. But these guys, I think they're just passing on by and putting a few marigolds over there. They'll stay away. But that's what that is. They're not ticks. Here we go. Okay, so we covered this last week called Too Big to Handle. My broccoli has brown spots. Is it safe to eat? Yes. So let me just back up for a quick second. See how big this is on the tower and how it took over, and see how tiny that little head of broccoli is. That's probably enough, maybe when you cook it for maybe two people, maybe if you're lucky. And the foliage is just everywhere. Again, I'll say this, these type of plants are meant for soil, not garden, because your tower, can you grow it on there? Yes. Your tower only has so much space. And again, look at the game Monopoly. There's a whole row. Every town has that street that has prime real estate. That is your tower. That's how you need to treat it. So I would not waste my time growing this on the tower, because you're just taking up too much space when you can grow cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, things that will continuously multiply. Once you pick this, it probably won't flower again, and you have to take it apart. You got to take the whole tower apart to really get all those roots out and clean them. And I'm going to show you that a little later in the show. What happened to me if you haven't already watched the video. But yeah, so eat that broccoli before it bolts. That's what the brown spots are, and it's completely safe to do. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, pruning tomatoes is key to fruiting. And why is this? By doing this, you're telling the plant to go ahead and make more fruit, basically. This was my tower, and what I decided, I was going to pull it apart, and then I said, I'm going to go ahead and prune it back. So I got a ladder, I got on top, and I shaved it down so that it wasn't over the top. And then I got in there. It took me a little while to do this, but I made all these big holes into the tower, getting rid of all this excessive foliage that I did not need. And leaving the fruit alone, doing it very, very carefully, because I had some ripe and some that were not. And by doing that, the tower looks amazing right now. I didn't snap a picture of it, but you can go and take a look at some of the lives. It's doing great. And as a matter of fact, yesterday in the live, I went and I pollinated the new tower, the small tower, and then went over to the old tower and pollinated that one as well. So I have two towers that are giving me fruit, and I'm just going to keep them pruned back. I'm going to keep cutting, 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 so they can continue to flower, grow and flower, and produce more tomatoes. I don't think I've purchased a tomato in 2 months, maybe 2.5 months. And if I can continue to do this, I will just go, go, go. Because this particular tomato, you can go to the Tower Gardening website and go into my favorite seeds. It's a cherry tomato, and I grow it from seed. The second tower I did from cloning. You can watch that video. It's called Cloning Like Kevin, and how I just clipped off suckers, put them into Rockwall, put them into the tower, and within 2 weeks I had flowers, and now we're, I think, at 4 weeks, and I actually have fruit. It's not ripe yet. It's still green, and I have one of the time-lapse cameras on there, so you'll be able to see that one coming up. I'll leave the time-lapse on for a little bit longer. I checked it this morning, and it's doing well, but it just needs to get a little bit longer before I take it off. But prune back. It's really, really, really important. And don't worry about it. There really isn't a special way. Just stay away. If you have ripe tomatoes or a cluster, stay away from the top. Prune down towards where the net pot is, okay, where the roots are, and you should be good to go. So let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so this is a part two to the frogs. This is Condo living as large, Mr. Lizard. So if you can look at the picture really close, you can see this beautiful chartreuse lizard that's, I don't know, he's got to be at least 12 to 15 inches long. I don't know what I would do if I went out to my tower. Obviously, this person lives in a tropical area like Florida, and he is in the tower. He is living his best life. He's there. He's probably eating little insects off of the plants. He's got sun, he's got water, and he has no reason to leave. Um, I don't encourage him to stay. So I would grab a pair of gloves. I'd probably pick him up, take him over to my neighbors, introduce him to their garden, and hopefully he doesn't wander back. But he's really pretty, super cute, but just probably not a good thing in your tower. And he also must weigh a ton. So he's got to be shifting that tower a little bit with the water. So, yeah, I would definitely relocate him. But what a great picture and a great post. I just love it. But yeah, you got to take him out of the tower. Time to evict him. Let's move him on. Move him to the neighbors. All right. So this post came up, and I want to review the seedlings in the rock wall. I feel really bad for this person. This is their second season planting, and they clearly were a little confused. And it's okay. Tower gardening is a learning curve. Any gardening is a learning curve, and there are simple steps to follow. So I don't know that this person is watching or will watch this, but for everybody else out there, I want to go through the steps. Step number one: you have your rock wall, and you have the seeds, and you have your tower. Um, in the nursery, you need to have a warming mat and you need to have a little grow house. You can use the trays that come with the tower, they're free. It has a dome, that's okay. Punch a few holes in there if you can. The holes that are there, it's like a takeout container. Make them a little bit bigger. You want to soak your rock wall, okay? Get it nice and wet. And then I want you to drain it off. And then I want you to fill it back up, rinse it again, and then drain it off. Then your rock wall is ready to be planted. Take the seeds that you want to plant, whatever they are, whether it's for tomatoes or a big beaned, beans, or like a big seed, like a watermelon, a bean, a zucchini, a summer squash. They all grow really fast. I would separate them and label them so you know what they are if you're new, and don't recognize them when they come up with their first leaves because everything kind of looks the same except for lettuce. So make sure you label them, and you want to spread them out. Put your seeds in. Now, some seeds are granular, like lettuce and strawberries. They're teeny tiny, and celery too, teeny tiny. So you definitely want to put a few more than just one. And then take just a little bit, a little scotch of the vermiculite and sprinkle it on top. Now the big beans, I would just put one bean, one seed, and then I would put a little more vermiculite so that bean or that seed gets really moist from the vermiculite. The next thing you do after they're labeled and you've got your vermiculite is you want to put the top on. It goes on to your warming mat. And then at some point you either have a spider light or you have the dome that the lights sit on top. Or some people actually put these on the base of the tower with the lights on if you have other things growing. But this individual, they didn't know, and it's fine. They put it into a closet, into a dark room, thinking that they were going to germinate. That's not correct. And so when she took it out, thinking that they were germinating in the dark, she had white fuzzy stuff, and it looks like on the bottom right-hand corner, it almost looks like a mushroom grew. So unfortunately, this is not the correct way of doing it, and everything is gone. I don't think anything can be salvaged. So what I would do with this is I would scoop out the centers of that rock wall and clean it up, maybe even just rinse it off again. And I would let it dry out so you can reuse it. Or you can break it apart and put it into your recycle bin. So if you guys are gardening with me, you know I have a rock wall recycle bin. So that you watched the live yesterday where I had my seedlings. They were zucchini, and I was being a bad tower gardener. And I left these seedlings in there too long. They were so tall and so leggy, they actually had their third and fourth leaf growing. So I was like, dude, I got to get these in the tower like ASAP. So I spent in the live putting them in there, using my recycled pieces to prop them up in the net pot. And then I had to use the white clips. And if you don't know what those are, go to my website, towergardening.easy, here in the right hand corner, and go under the essentials of the nursery. And they're just little white sticky things that go on the tower, and they look like the old style barrettes, and you put that leggy thing seedling in there, and you either can close it or just let it rest there until the roots get strong enough and the canopy can support itself. And then you can just take those white clips off and try to reuse them because they stick for, I don't know, a couple times. So move them around a little bit. Um, but yeah, you'll see the whole tower that I just planted out with all these clips because I just let it get too tall. My bad, but I knew, I was like, I got to get over and do it, and I waited too long. So my whole tower has white clips all over it. But that's okay. So I feel really bad for this starter. She didn't know, or he didn't know, but that's the process. And then you just wait until you pull that rock wall out of the grow house and your roots are surrounded at least on 2 to 3 sides. The big seeds will happen real fast, so keep an eye on them. They'll start wrapping around. The little seeds, like celery, strawberries, they take a while, so be prepared to be patient. Their roots are very fine. I would use the tower garden. Like this particular rock wall is tower garden because I can tell by the little hole. Um, those are really good for fine roots. There are other kinds of rock wall that are a little stiffer that you have to kind of carve out the hole a little bit. I'm going to be doing a whole video on this very, very soon, and the different kinds of rock wall and what seed to use with what rock wall to really get the best to go into the tower. Um, it is kind of important, and I think we all just use one kind for every seed, and really that's not the case. You really should be using at least two um, to use. I like that stiffer ones for my big seeds because it just makes that root really stiff, and hopefully it stands up, unlike yesterday. So we'll be getting to that really, really, really soon. But again, I feel bad, but please don't put your rock wall into the closet. Put it right into the tower on the warming mat with the top on and lights. And you will have seedlings very soon, and you will be able to watch it every day. It's kind of magical. And soon enough, you'll have plants in your tower that will be producing food for you. Okay? So again, very sorry. All right. Green bean harvest pro tips. So if you guys watched my video that I posted up yesterday called Green Beans Harvest, and the recipe that's attached in that video at the very bottom in the description called rotisserie chicken fried rice. Oh my God, super healthy, super yummy, and basically tower to table in less than 15 minutes. And it's inexpensive too. Um, I'm going to back this up just a quick second. So the tower that I'm pulling the beans off of, there's a history to this. So you want to go back and watch the first video, which is called Bad Seed, Big Lesson, which is I put a seed in my rock wall and grew it into seedlings and put it on the tower and let it grow out just like this. However, the seed just was not meant for the tower. That just happens. We don't know. People say you can grow anything. You really can, but some things will do well and some things you'll just go instantly, no, not for the tower. So I took this apart, and I had to clean it all up, and you'll see that in the video. The next video is what I did differently. So that's part one, part two, and then we get to this one. So part two is what I did differently, which was the Blue Lake beans from Botanical Interest, which is what you're seeing right here. This bean is perfect for the tower. It produces this beautiful foliage with chartreuse green leaves when they're young, and they get a little bit darker as they get older. Produces a white, I thought it was more lilac-y, but just more of a white flower that produces the bean, as you can see right here on the left, and they are delicious. My word of caution is get in there every day and try to pull the mature beans off before they get too seed-like. They taste better when they're younger. And then the pro tip here, and if you were watching my live yesterday, I said tune in today because I was going to spill it. If you're harvesting off the tower every single day, have a Ziploc bag in your freezer. And if you're not ready to eat them, just freeze them. You can cut them and then go ahead and put them into the Ziploc bag and roll them up and then just freeze it. And then take them out as you need them and stick them in the microwave or wherever you're cooking. So this pile up here was the first harvest, and then what you saw in the video from the green bean harvest was actually my second harvest. So if you want to watch a time lapse, I took my camera, the time lapse camera, and I stuck it in the center of the tower, and I let it go for, I want to say, 2 weeks. And to watch the growth around it was pretty impressive. You got to see the leaves grow and everything shifting and the little white flowers growing. And then at the very end, the flower falls off, and then you get to see the actual bean grow into a full size bean. It's about a minute 57 seconds, and it's really worth checking out. So the time lapse in the green bean harvest are in this description of this podcast at the very bottom. And then if you go into the green bean harvest, watch that video. And in that description is where you can click on the recipe for the rotisserie chicken fried rice. It'll take you to my Google Drive, and then you can download it right there. Watch the video at the very end. It's very quick, and then you'll have your ingredients and your instructions on how to make it. But it's super, super easy, healthy, and very, very yummy. So let's go ahead and move on. Oh, one other quick sec on this one. When I did the green bean harvest, I went in and I again, pruning the interior of this tower, creating airspace, and also telling the plants to continue to fruit. It's key. Just go ahead and do it. You're not hurting it. And there's really no right way or wrong way. Just thin it out. Send the message. Here we go. Saving the cucumber and celery tower. So if you watched my live on Saturday, 3.5 hours long, um, I have been struggling with this tower for probably almost 3 weeks. And I've been checking the pH probably every 2 to 3 days. And every time I check it, the pH goes out of control. It goes high. And I said to myself, there's just something going on. It's not right. It shouldn't be doing this. So if you watched me plan it out, I don't know, a few weeks ago, I planted out just the left side. And I left the right side alone because it was still giving me really good cucumbers. But what happened is when I cleaned out the right, there had to have been some roots that were stuck in between the units where the net pots are. And what was happening is they were decaying. And because of that, it was giving off gases that were being released as the water trickled down into the basin and causing the pH to go higher. So I really didn't have a choice. I was either going to continue to fight with the pH, which was wreaking havoc on the seedlings, or salvage what I could and clean it out. And that's what I chose. So I took out the celery. I lost a little bit of it. It's okay. But I saved one big hunk. You'll see that in the video. It was like, it had to have been like 2, 3 pounds. And I had to trim it back to get it back into the tower after. That was a whole other disaster. But I took the seedlings and I put them back in. And I'm happy to say that it's Wednesday. So it's been 4 days. And they're doing okay. I've had to cut back a few things to adjust. And of course, taking it out, putting it in, there'll be an adjustment period. But from what I can see, pH is balanced, nutrients are on point, and that means they'll shed a few leaves, but then they'll start to grow new ones. And there's lots of flowers that are opening, so I'm really happy with that. So I lost a little, but in the end, I gained a lot. So I'm glad that I did that. Also, too, you can speed through this live because it's 3 hours into the different sections of it. I think I put chapters. So if you have never done a reverse water change, if you're gardening inside, it shows you how to do that, which is disconnecting that blue hose that shoots the water up the tower, and you attach that clear white hose to the blue hose, and then you drain out the water into a sink wherever you can drain, okay, if you're indoors. And then from there, as it's draining, you want to be scraping the bottom, cleaning it out to the best of your ability. Please don't use soaps. Try to use maybe a squirt or two of hydrogen peroxide as you're cleaning it, and that's really all it needs. Some of that is bad, but a lot of it can be good. So just do your best, get as much water as you can. Watch the video how I do it at the very bottom. Tip that resin reservoir up and kind of shake it until the pump gets all of the water out. The other thing, then you can reverse it. So if you don't have an area like a hose you can just toss in there. I'm doing this from a bathroom sink. I reverse it and I put the pump in the sink, and I take the white hose, and that goes into the basin to fill it back up to wheel it back in the room. Then I decided that I did not need to clean the individual pieces, that they weren't really that bad. There was no algae. So I just stuck them in a pail, as you see here in the picture, and I just scrubbed them with a little dehydrated hydrogen peroxide and water, like diluted, and then just let them dry. And then I rebuilt the tower. And then I put the seedlings back in. So this was a whole process. So go ahead and check this one out, especially if you've never done the reverse water or filling it from an area that's hard, so you're not schlepping buckets from the Home Depot 5 gallon buckets. That's a lot of work. This was much easier. And again, number one rule: put a dolly under there so that dolly, you can roll it to where you need it, because 20 gallons of water is not light, my friends. So this was a really good video to do. I'm glad I did it. It was a lot of work, but it was interesting. This is the part two with the pictures. You can see here me, I'm cleaning. Here's the basin before I drained it, and you can see there's a lot of resin, and the water is really dark, not algae, but just brown. So you definitely want to, get in there and clean it. You can see here with the roots that I pulled out of that was each section. As I was taking it apart, I was literally like yanking it out like it was spaghetti. The other pro tip I have for you is the lights. When you're reassembling your towers, make sure that you line up the dial with the water hole, and make sure that your cords are lined up. So your light cord and your pump cord are to the back. And so that when you're topping off your water into the tower, it's away from your electricity. And in this video, it shows you really the safest way to move those lights. Get a friend, or if you can do it on your own, make sure that you put those lights nice and close to you, and then put them somewhere safe and away from all of the water or someone bumping it. You don't want to break those wands, because you'll have to get replacements. And then this bottom picture is the 3-pound celery that I pulled off the top, which is back in there. But I had to clip it back because it was so big that I could not get the net pot back in there. I was jamming it, and then finally I had to snap off some of the back, and then it clipped in. So luckily, it's doing okay. I don't see any browning or yellowing, so it's hanging in there. But I'll keep an eye on it. I have more in the nursery to go, but the roots haven't come through the rock wall yet, so that's important before I put it into the tower, especially up in the baby green section, because the water is pretty aggressive up there, so I don't want to hurt it. It's still in a very delicate stage. So let's move on. Oh my God, this is amazing, you guys. So all know that I planted watermelon and that I grow in my basement, right? So on the watermelon tower, I love a good challenge. I love to live on the edge, as my mother likes to say. And this tower is completely built out with lots of vines and lots of little flowers. And I've been over there a couple times a week self-pollinating. All right. And I've had some that I thought were pollinated, but then they turn black, and I'm like, nope. So I just pick it off and I just keep going. I keep trying. But the other day, not yesterday, the day before Monday, I was down there and self-pollinating. I think I was looking for a male flower to pollinate, take the pollen out to pollinate the female. And I moved this vine, and I'll explain the vine thing in a minute. And I literally opened my eyes, and I shook my head, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? How did I miss this? This massive, it looks like a small green apple. And there it was in its splendor. And I go, how is it surviving? And it was balancing on this little thin piece of vine. It wasn't even on the self-made cage that I made. It was just on a vine. And I go, it's going to snap. So all night long, I kept thinking, like, am I going to go down there in the morning and this thing is going to be splat on the floor because of the weight of it? So I got up, I went to the gym, and then I went to this grocery store that's kind of like a Whole Foods. And I asked the people in the uh, vegetable department if they had any netting, and the girl said yes. So she came out with this green netting. I came home and I cut it and slit it, and I tried to take the watermelon and I placed it in there to make a little hammock. And then I took a piece of dowel and I stuck it on the side of the net pot, like move the net pot over so it would just balance on the back. And then I stretched the netting into the dowel. And so it's kind of dangling there. So I also put the time lapse camera, I took it off the bean, and now it's on here. So I can't wait to watch that. Um, for safety purposes. So this afternoon, I'm going to go to the hardware store and I'm going to look for one of those S hooks that I think that will be a better solution because I'll be able to hook that on to the side of the net pod and then hook the netting onto that so that the dowel doesn't come flying out. It'll be a little more secure as it grows. It's not very pretty, but at least it'll allow it to stretch and grow into. And let's see how far we can get. Now, the seed that I used was just, and you can go to the Tower Garden right here in the right hand corner of my website under favorite seeds. It's just a smaller variety of melons seed that I grew. But unlike most plants, this vine, it's really unique. So it doesn't just like, let me think, a vine, like a cucumber vine. It's a vine and it's got the leaves and it's got flowers. It's not three dimensional. So the watermelon vine is three dimensional. So it, the girth of it is like this. And it grows the green all the way around. And you really kind of have to look inside for some of these flowers to either pollinate or look to see if something is pollinated. And that's what happened. It was growing inside and then okay, so then it got big enough, that's why I didn't see it, and then it was just resting there. So when I moved this massive jungle vine and it was there in its splendor, it really kind of caught me off guard because I'm over there pretty much every day. This tower is right next to the nursery where I'm there all the time, and I just was like, you got to be kidding me, it's the size of a green apple. And I was just floored when I found it. I could not believe it. And I'm to this day, like it's been, since Monday, and I'm just going, I can't believe I have a watermelon. So I'm posting it everywhere and showing people, and I wanted to put it on the podcast and do this last minute. And it really is impressive. So stay tuned because I'll clearly be updating you guys on this. And like the strawberries, um, the first watermelon, why don't we cut it online and I'll eat it in front of you guys and let you know how it tastes. So you can either grow this, on your tower, or maybe you want to do it in a soil base or on your patio. But this was my moment. This was my like when I talked about you're building your oasis. This week was my oasis because I've been pollinating like crazy for weeks now, and there's a couple things that look like they're pollinated, but I'm like, can you hurry up and grow? Because I'm like, I need something. And I just, it was like la di da, no big deal. And then moving that vine, I'm like, I was so shocked. I still to this, I can't believe it, because everyone's like, no, you can't grow those inside. They need light. And then again, I never listen to people. I just do my own thing. Ask my mom. She's like, ugh, I'm an Aries. I just do my own thing. So there it is. I proved it wrong. Like you just got to do your own thing. Believe in yourself. Believe in your tower gardens. Grow what you want, but be prepared like a watermelon to do some MacGyver trick to hold it up like a hammock because I don't want it to break the vine and go splat on the floor like some of my tomatoes do because there's so many. So yeah, so that was really I'm really really happy. That was like my like shining star this week. So, okay, so here we go. All right, so I want to do this each week. So, the things that I find to share with you guys, I want to give credit to one person out of the podcast for just something that was really unique and different. I'm an animal lover, heart by heart, and we've gone through the frogs, but I've never seen a lizard. And so I had to put a little Santa hat on him. And I want to give this week's picture award to the lizard in the tower. If I could give it to the watermelon, I would, but that's me, so that wouldn't be very fair. But I got to give it to the person that took the picture of the lizard, and the lizard didn't get scared. That's the other thing. So I just love the lizard. He's so cute. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't want him in my tower, but it's really awesome that they shared this out there and I was able to share it with you guys. So that brings me to here. Okay, so I want to do just a little bit of a closing, and what I want to say is I want to bring this back to the beginning. Um, if you saw that comment out there about the lights, please don't be scared. Please don't think you got to go buy special glasses, or check your lights. Just Dr. Google is beautiful. For the little rash that we get occasionally, but you're not going to get cataracts from your towers. Um, do your own research, make your own decisions. But what I can tell you is from Tower Garden, they are safe. They are white LED. You don't want to stare directly at them, but just be safe. But know that the lights are good for you, especially in the wintertime when it's really dark and cold. So thank you everyone for joining me today. This was a great podcast. And please keep posting. Contact me through the website if you need me or at towergardeningmadeeasy@gmail.com. And keep the comments coming. Keep watching the videos. I'm here for you. And if you need anything, I'm there for you. So have a blessed day. Thanks for joining. And we'll see you next Wednesday at 11 o'clock.